Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to create a simple web portfolio. The reason why I kept it so simple here is because I see a lot of portfolios on the internet today that are super complex and you have to jump through hoops just to get some information about the developer sometimes, and that's not the best way to showcase your work to a potential employer. So here I just have a navbar with the contact right away, so anyone that's looking at it can contact you, know where to find it. So we have LinkedIn, GitHub, and if you want, you can also add your resume. I know some people don't advise doing that. Obviously, you'll want to put an edited resume where you don't have your phone number, address, or email. And then we have an about me, which is a simple paragraph about you and like what you're aspiring to do and what you're looking for, and a little bit about your skills. And then that'll lead into your experience. And I try to make this the simplest way possible to showcase your experience. So on the left, we'll have an image of your project, or if you do YouTube, or if you create any videos or podcasts or anything like that, you can have a link here. And then on the right, you'll have a description of what it is. So like if it's a project, you'll have notable features and the technologies used. And then of course you'll want to provide links to the live website and the code. So we're going to also deploy this using GitHub Pages, which is absolutely free. And I'll show you guys how to do that now. Alright guys, so I have Visual Studio Code open on the left and GitHub open as well. So I have a folder here called my_portfolio, and then I have another folder in there just called assets, which include my resume and an image of my project. So to get started with GitHub Pages, we need to download something called Git Bash. If you don't have that already, just follow the link and the instructions. It's really easy to download. Okay, so now we can go in our folder, right click and say Git Bash here. And the first thing we're going to do is npm init-y. Also, I just want to say, if you guys don't have Node.js installed for npm, you're going to want to download that as well. So if you just go to nodejs.org and just download it, you'll be able to use npm. Okay, so now we have a package.json file created. In here, we are going to change our script. So here where it says test, we're going to change it to deploy. And in the quotes, we will simply just say GH pages -d dist. We haven't downloaded GitHub Pages, but we're about to do that now. So we can say npm install GH-pages. And we'll let that install. Okay, so now GH Pages should show up as a dependency. And what we're gonna add one more thing now. It's gonna be homepage, and here we're gonna have the link to our GitHub repo. So it's gonna be my username.github.io/myportfolio is what I'll name it. And put a comma. So we'll go in here, click new. The repository name, we'll call it my portfolio. And you can make it public or private, that's up to you. Okay, so now the repository is created. Alright guys, so we don't need this anymore. Okay, so we'll create a folder called dist. And we don't want to create it in assets. Okay, we'll call it dist. Okay, I'm going to create a file called .gitignore because we don't want to push our node modules. We don't want to show that. So we can say .gitignore and just say node_modules. Okay, so now we have a dist folder. In here, we're going to create our index.html. And also, we're going to drag the assets folder in here as well, if you guys have one. And then we'll also create a style sheet.css. Okay, so I'm going to create a sample website, and then we're going to push it to GitHub, and then I'll just show you that the GitHub Pages is working, and then we'll get on with the code. So I'm just going to generate the HTML by pressing Shift 1 Enter, and let's just say I'm going to put my name, and then we're going to say dash web port. Let's do web developer. Okay, and also I'm going to link the style sheet. Okay, and here I'll just have an H1 that says test. Okay, so now we're going to push this to GitHub. So first we need to add the file. So git status, let's do add all. And then let's commit the files. So git commit -m, then we need to just say initial commit. Okay, and then we can say git, we need to add the remote URL. So we can say git remote add origin. And I'm just going to copy and paste this. Okay, so if I click enter, now we can say git push -u origin master. Okay, so now if we refresh our page here, okay, so we push to our git. So we need to create another branch called gh.pages. So if we run our script now, that should do it for us. npm run deploy. Okay, so now it's published. If I refresh, we should see it. There you go. So now our website should be live. So if I go to settings here, and go down, you see your site is ready to be published. There you go. So our HTML is published here, and we can view it now. So now we can get on with the actual code. Okay guys, so I'm going to right click and open with live server. Okay, so we have our web page open here, and several things before we get started here. So we're going to be using font awesome icons for our LinkedIn and GitHub icon. So in order to get the access to the icons, you need to create a login. So I've already done that. Once you create a login, it's absolutely free, and then you can just search and you should have access to all of these icons. So we'll need that for the future. And also we're going to use some, nice fonts here, and we're going to be using Google fonts. So I'll show you which fonts we're going to use later as well. So now we can actually get started with our portfolio. So the first thing we're going to have is our navbar. So I don't know if I showed you guys the mobile view, but we're going to do the mobile view first. So the mobile view gets rid of the background, and we're going to keep our name here. We're not going to have anything else, and we're just going to have our 3 icons here below it. And also guys, you can do this however you want. If after we're done with the tutorial, if you want to change, please feel free to go ahead and do that. It's your personality, your style. That's what matters here. Okay, so the first thing we're going to have here is the nav. We'll give it an ID of mobile-nav. We're going to create 2 navs, one for the mobile and one for desktop. So first we'll just do everything mobile. In here we're going to have an H2, and then we're going to say our name. And then we're going to give this a class of left logo. So this doesn't have to be your name. You can put a logo or anything you want. And that'll be it for this. Then we're going to have a section. And this is going to be a container for the icons. So we're going to say mobile icon container. In here, we're going to have 3 A tags. So we're going to do A times 3. And let's give it a class of icons, contact icon. Oh, let's try that again. Let's do A contact icon times 3. Okay, there we go. So we're gonna have LinkedIn, GitHub, and our resume. So the last one, we can just simply type it out. Okay, so in Font Awesome, I got LinkedIn here. We're gonna use the first one. And we're just gonna copy this HTML right here. And we're gonna place it inside the A tag. And we're going to go back and do the same thing for GitHub. Okay, we'll use the first one as well. Copy that. All right. So if we refresh, okay, why? Oh, we need to add the Font Awesome URL. Okay, guys, so after you guys have your account made, if you go to Kits, you can create a new kit, or if you have an existing one, you click on that and you just copy this script file, and then we'll be able to have our icons here. So we don't need that anymore. Okay, so let's give some styling to our navbar. We'll go step by step. So the first thing we want to do is style the body. We want to get rid of the margin and padding here. And then we want to give this a background to the whole page. And we're going to just do F0, F0, F0. Okay, so it's not too, the white isn't too bright. And then we're going to give a color to all the text, 444. And that should be, we're going to add a font family. So let's go ahead and do that now as well. So the fonts that we're going to use here, let me widen this. Okay, so we're going to use this one. So if you click on the plus sign, it'll add it to your family selected. And we're also going to be using this one, Railway. So I have those. If you click on this, it'll tell you how to import it. So we can just simply copy this, put it in our HTML file. So we'll come below this, put it here, and then we can simply just say font family, and then put it in quotes, and then we'll have a backup of sans serif. And let's see, how do I spell that first one? Okay, so we'll use this for now. Okay, so we gave our name here a class of left logo. So we're going to push it to the left a little. So we'll do margin left, 25 pixels. Okay, and then we're going to style our mobile icon container. So for our mobile icon, okay, so here we want to use Flexbox, and then we want to center it. So we can just say justify content center, and we want to give it some margin. So we won't do that in here. We're going to use the same class, but give it an A after to specify the A tags. So we can say margin. We just want to specify the left-right margin. So we can do 0, and let's space them out by like 10 pixels. We can do a little bit more. Okay, and we can make this a little bit larger as well. So we can say the font size of 1.3 em. Let's try that. Yeah, it's a little bit better. Let's make it a little bit smaller. Okay, and we want to get rid of the text decoration. Set it to none. Okay, so the color should also just be 444. see, did that? Okay, there we go. So that is all that there is to these links here and our logo. It's very simple. Though, okay, so in our href, okay, we're gonna add some things here. So for LinkedIn, we're gonna do HTTPS, and obviously you're gonna want to provide your LinkedIn. I'm just gonna do linkedin.com. Same thing for GitHub. And whenever you have this link to your GitHub, make sure your GitHub is clean. Same thing with your LinkedIn, like make sure you actually have content there and to provide. Okay, and the resume. So in all, we're gonna give these titles. So if someone hovers over them, we can say view LinkedIn. Actually, we want to kind of let them know this is a place that, you know, they can contact us. So we can say contact me. So if I hover over this, we can say, it'll say contact me. And, you know, it's just a kind of a direction to give someone if, you know, they don't know exactly know where to contact you. And you want to make sure that's like the most clear thing possible in your web pages. Let whoever, employers or anyone know that this is where you contact me and this will all get back to you. And we can say view GitHub. Okay, so for our resume, we can say HREF is ./assets, and then portfolio. And we will give this title of view resume. And also, we want to have this open to another page, so we can just say target underscore blank. And we'll copy that. Put these in the other as well. So if I click on GitHub, it will take me to github.com. So resume, there you go. So make sure you have a PDF of it. It'll open it, and Chrome HTML takes care of the rest for you. Okay, so that's it for our nav. Next thing we can go into is our about. Okay, so now we're gonna have a main. So this is where the main content will be inside. So we're gonna have a section here with a class of about section. And here we'll have an H3, say about, and let's give this a class of section title. Trying to keep these generic because we're gonna reuse these classes. Then we're gonna have a P tag here with a class of about content. Okay, so you guys saw the paragraph that I had. If you feel like, you know, using that and kind of rewording it, that's totally fine with me. Here I'm just gonna put some lorem ipsum just so we can save some time. We'll do lorem 30. Okay, so let's give some styling here. So here I'm gonna say about section. So about section. Actually, let's do, what do we have here? The title, so section title and about content. So let's do the section title. Let's center it. Text align center. And let's make it larger. Font size, let's do 1.3 em. And we can make it a little bit bigger. Okay, and also we're gonna do some letter spacing here of 1.2 em. Ooh, that's way too much. For the letter spacing, I did not mean to do em. I will do it way less. So 2 pixels. I meant to give the 1.2 em to the line height. So we're gonna add a 1 line height, and we'll do 1.2 here. And let's push down the main content. So we can do about, we can just do main. You know, we just can just use main here. Margin top, let's do 30 pixels. Let's do a little bit more. Yeah, 100 should be better. Okay, so next thing we want to do is the about content. Okay, so we want to add some padding here. Let's do top and bottom, we don't really care about. We want to do left and right. We want to push it in. That should be fine. Let's also increase the font size here. Let's do 1.3 em. And let's give a line height as well. So we can probably do 1.2 em. Okay, and we can probably make this smaller actually. Doesn't need to be that big. Okay, so that's the about. Nothing too complicated about that. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is the experience. So this is probably the most important thing. So let's get onto that. So we'll create another section in here. Okay, so we will call this experience section. Let's call it the project section, just easier. Okay, so what I want to show you guys is when this gets larger, we're going to display this side by side, but when we're in mobile, we're going to do top and bottom. So what we're going to use there is the grid system, and of course we're going to add CSS media queries later on. Okay, so for the project section, we are going to have two sections in here. And for simplicity, I'm just going to say project left container and project right container. Okay, so in the left container, we will have the project title. So we are going to have an H3 with a class of, let's do project title. And let's go back to this. And let's call this, okay, so first we need an H3 here that will say experience. And you can say whatever, work experience, project experience, work experience, whatever you want. We'll give this a class of section title. Okay, and let's move the project section a little bit down. We'll do that in a bit. Here we'll have, so first thing I'm going to just display is I'm going to just showcase my YouTube channel. After that, we will have a link or an image of the YouTube. So I just copied it from YouTube itself actually, so I'm going to do the same thing. So I got this directly from YouTube. Okay, so also guys, I forgot something really important. So all these will have a container section, and we're going to give this a class of project card. And we're going to put this section, or these two sections in here. So anytime we create a new card, we'll have a class of project card as a container. Okay, and then on the right side, H3, that'll say, here I'm just going to say channel name. And for each card, you can customize it to how you want, as long as it's not too different. And then here we're going to have a span. And I'm going to have a link to my channel name and the title of what the channel name is. So this will be a link. Put A tags in here. Class of website link. And then We'll give this a title of Go to YouTube channel. And also let's add a dash here. Okay, so let's give some styling here so you guys can see where this is going. So now I'm going to comment here and say project card. Let's do experience section actually. Okay, so for the let's push down the project section. So I think what did I name it here? Project section. Okay, so I'm just going to call this project section to keep it consistent. Project section. And let's push this down by 30 pixels. Let's see how that is. Okay, let's push it down even more. Okay, not too bad. I might do just a little bit more. Okay, so in our project card, we will have several things here. So we're going to have a background color of 34495E. Okay, and then we're going to give this a box shadow of 0 pixels, 2 pixels, 4 pixels, and RGBA of 000 with some opacity of 0.18. And we're going to give all the color inside this project card of D5, D8, DC. Okay, and we're going to add some padding here. So we'll do a top and bottom. Let's do 30 pixels top and bottom and 20 pixels left and right. And also let's decrease the width here. Let's do 90% and let's add a margin auto to this. Also, if we have multiple cards, we want to separate the cards. So let's do 20 pixels top and bottom and then auto. Okay, so we have too much space here. So that is because this H3 right here. So let's give some styling to the project title. So let's get rid of the margin top. Okay, so that should be fine. And we can increase the font size just a tad bit. 1.2 em. Let's see if 3 will be. Okay, that's better. And since we're designing everything for mobile, this iframe here, we want to have a width of 100%. So, and in all of our images as well. So we'll do width 100%. Okay, that looks better. And then we'll have a channel name, and then we have a website link class. So we want to make this kind of blue here. So we'll give this a color of BBDEFB. And this just lets the user know that, hey, this is something that you can click on and go somewhere. So let's also give this a cursor pointer. Okay, cool. So let's see here. What else? We need to add, now we need to give a description and then what technologies. So for example, here I'm saying what technologies are taught and a description of the channel. And I'll just add an href here, and we'll just say https www.youtube.com. Okay. And also in the website link, let's get rid of that text decoration. All right, guys. So we'll go back to HTML, and on the right container, underneath here, we're going to have another H3, and we're going to say we're going to have a description. Okay, so actually before the H3, because that is for the technologies taught, before the H3 we will say P, we'll have a P tag, and then we'll give a short description of the channel. So I'm just going to do lorem ipsum to save time. Okay, and let's give this a class. So we can say project description, so that it can be used for any card you want where you have a description. And let's put this near the project classes. Project description. Let's push it in a little bit from the left side. So we can use padding or margin left. Okay, so that looks good. Next thing we want to do is add the technologies taught. And below here, we're going to have an unordered list, and with a class of technologies. Oh, let's do underscore technologies. Let's do list. And then we'll have li tags here. So I'm just going to do 4 here. So I'm going to do HTML5, CSS3. Let's do JavaScript. And let's do Node.js. Okay, so let's obviously make that better. So the way I did it is I used a grid system to display it like this. In our style sheet, we can go here. We can say technologies list. We're going to say display grid template columns. And then I'm going to use this repeat function where I can say 2, 1, fr. So it'll make it into 2 columns. And let's add some spacing between the bullet points. So I'm going to copy this class name, li. Let's give it a margin in between. So we just care about top and bottom. So we can do 10 pixels, 0. Yeah, that may be a little too much. Let's go down to 5, see what that looks like. Yeah, that's better. So also, guys, I want to mention here, instead of using bullet points, I would highly recommend using some kind of icon like a check mark. It just stands out more, and you know, these are kind of generic, but they don't look horrible. So that's just my recommendation. So that's it for this card. I wouldn't add anything else. Let's do a real project one. So, you know, I just have a sample project I did on Free Code Camp. It was just a React, when I was trying to learn React, and it's a random quote generator. So now what we can do here is under this project card section, we can create another section, give it the same class of project card. A lot of the hard work is done for us now. So what we can do now is actually add in the content, which is great. So H3, and then we need to set up left and right containers. So let's do section project left container times 2, and let's change this to right. Okay, so in the left container, we'll have our image as well and the title of the project. So we can have an H3 here. We can give it a class of project title. And I'm going to just say React random quote generator. And then below here, I'm going to have an image with a source. In alternate, in case the image doesn't load, I'm just going to say project image, and then I'm going to give this a class of project dash image, and let's give the source here assets react.png. Okay, so let's fix the CSS real fast for the image. We can give the same width here. So let's do project dash image. Oh, forgot the dot. Okay, cool. So now that it's contained within the project card, what we can do now, let's add the ending tag there. That is it for the left side. So now we can add a description. So what do I have here? I have, oh, also we want to add, this is where we'll actually add the links for the website. So I'm going to create a container, a div container called project links. In here, we're going to have two links. So we'll have the live website. And this is really crucial that you do this because it makes you look better whenever you're displaying your work, that it's actually deployed and you can, the employer or someone can actually see your code. Okay, so we'll have these two here. Let's say we'll have an HREF, and I think I have this on CodePen right now, yeah. So I'll just copy that. And I'll just do the same link for both since you can view the code there. Okay, so let's give this a class of, actually we don't need to give this an individual class. We can give these titles, say view live. And for the second one, we can say view code. Okay. So now they're missing, but oh, it's just because of they need to be styled. So I think that's all we need to have here. We can just go in the CSS, add project links. So we're gonna use, we don't need to use Flexbox. I think we can just text align, center them, and then we need to style the A tag. So let's copy this, add the A here, and let's get rid of the text decoration. I should have just had a global A tag, style that said text decoration on. That would have been easier instead of having to repeat myself. And the color here will also be the same as a website link. So actually, you know what I can do? I can just simply give the class name of website link to this. So we can just say website link. Perfect. Same thing here. And now let's give it some spacing in between. So we will actually need this, but we just need to use it for the spacing. So we can just say margin. Let's see, we can do 10 pixels. Kind of want to push it down from the, okay, well, yeah, from the top. We want to give some spacing between the image and the link. So we can do margin top 10 pixels. Okay, there we go. And let's increase the font size here to 1.3 M. A little bit smaller. Okay, and I'm gonna kind of push it down just a little bit more. And also guys, if you want to make this image clickable, that would also be fine too. It's up to you. This is just a pretty clean way, separation. Okay, so now on the right container, we can add several things here. So I'm going to close out of these CodePens. We don't need them anymore. Same thing for Google Font. So we have notable features and technologies used. So this is really important. This just shows the employer real fast what are the features of the project. So we will have an H3 here. Notable features. And let's have a UL here. We're going to give this a class name of notable features, and then have an LI tag. Let's do 3. Okay, so in here, what did I say? I said, I'm just gonna have lorem ipsum. It just saves time. Lorem ipsum 10. Let's do 5 here. And let's do 15 here, I guess. 15 is too much. Let's kind of take out some of this. Yeah, you want to keep these descriptions nice and short. Okay, so let's add some styling here. So we're not going to do any grid system here. It just makes sense to display it line at a time. So notable features. And then let's add some spacing in between. So we'll do li, margin. We only care about the top and bottom. So we can do 10 pixels. I think 10 is too much. Let's do 8, 0. Cool. So yeah, that looks good. So now we can just simply copy our technologies taught type UL that we use, technologies list. So I'm just going to copy this. Actually, let's also copy the H3 up ahead too. And let's put it below here. And let's change this to used. And I'm just going to get rid of this and just add React here. All right, guys. So I think the experience is looking good on the mobile side. And we can probably add more, reduce the width just a little bit. It's a little bit too much at the end. But you know, this is pretty good for, you know, showcasing what you want on the mobile side for sure. I would probably decrease the margin top here. So let's do that. About, we have the about content. Let's do the section, or oh, sorry, main. So let's just do 80. Yeah, that's fine. It's whatever your preference is. Okay, so what are we going to do now? We are going to make this desktop responsive. So make this responsive now. We need to add media queries. Let's see how it looks here. Okay, so I was going to reduce the width here because this is too close to the edge. So for our project section, project card, the width is at 90%, so let's do 80. Now let's do 85. I don't want to make it too small. Perfect. All right, so now we can add media queries. So what do we want to do first? Let's go step by step and do the nav bar. So now we want to have another nav here and create a desktop nav ID. So it's going to have the H2. But now we're also going to have the icons in here as well. So I'm going to copy this, paste it in here, and let's do desktop icon container, and let's hide these. So simply what we can do is just say desktop nav display none. Okay, so now let's add a media query. So at media screen and parentheses min dash width, and let's do 700 pixels. Because after that, I feel like we can show our desktop nav. The screen will be big enough to fit everything. So we can say mobile nav display none, and same thing for the mobile icon container, display none. So actually, let's just copy this and put a comma here. Okay, that'll be easier. And this will be desktop, okay, desktop nav, and we are going to use this flexbox. So we can say display flex, and let's see how that looks for now, and then we can add the rest of the styling after. Okay, so that looks horrible. So let's add a background color of 232526, and we are going to use justify content, and we're going to use space between. Okay, so that's at the end. And let's fix the styling for our icons, and let's change the color here. So we can say color, and we're going to use AAA. So that'll change that, but we'll need to change the color of the icon separately. And also, I wanted to use a font family here for the left logo. I wanted to change that. So we use that railway, so we can say font family, railway. Okay, that looks a lot better. Okay, so we have our icons with the class of desktop icon container. So here, let's push it down. Okay, so 20 pixels should be fine. It should be on the same line of the name. So let's add some margin in between. So what do we have? Desktop icon container A. So desktop icon container A, and then let's add margin. Top and bottom will be 0. Left and right, let's do 10 pixels. And we can do a little bit more than that. Should be fine actually. We'll increase everything. Let's give the same styling we did for the mobile. Okay guys, so instead of using instead of styling this straight in the media query, let's give these permanent styles here. We don't have to keep changing it unless we want to change like one or two small things, because the reason is this is going to be hidden anyways, so we won't ever see it. So once it's we're using Flexbox, we'll see the styling up here. So we can say here font size will be 1.2 M, and then let's change the color here to AAA, and text decoration should be none. Perfect. So now we should have a responsive navbar. Awesome, guys. And if we need to, we'll test it for even the largest size, 1080p. And so the next thing we want to do is our about. So, as our screen gets super large, we don't want the text going all the way across the screen. We want to increase the padding. So in our media query here, we can say about content. We can say padding. Let's do 0 top and bottom, and then let's do 20%. So let's see how that works. That might be a little bit too much. Let's do 10. Now let's do 15. That should be fine. I just want this width to never extend this project card width. So yeah. Okay, cool. So now let's do our cards. So once it gets to here, what we want to do is say project card. We want to use display, grid template columns, and then we're going to use repeat to 1 FR, which is 1 fractional unit. And now we have these like this. Now we're going to fix the styling, of course, in here. So first thing we want to do is level this out. Okay, so the way we would do that, if we see here, this will be a better example. Okay, so if you see here, this H3 has a bottom margin, which is pushing the image down. So what we want to do is say project title and get rid of the margin bottom. Okay, well now you're going to say, well, this is too close, right? What we can do is use position relative, and we're going to do bottom 15 pixels. That'll push it up. There you go. Now let's add some grid gap here because it's too close. There needs to be some spacing. So grid gap 15 pixels. That should be fine. You can do more if you want. And let's see. I'm going to push down the right container just a tad bit because it seems like the text is a little bit over, and I'm very picky and I pay attention to detail, and I just want to push it down. Okay, so margin top, let's try 1 pixel. Sorry, that's not going to be enough. Let's do 5. Okay, so that should be fine. So now let's see. If we increase this, this is pretty responsive. I'm going to now show this full width, and let's see how that looks. So now what we want to do is we want to decrease this width. This does not need to be this big. So what we can do now is, now we don't want to decrease it here per se. Let's see, are we in the, yeah, this should be fine. We don't want to decrease it here. We want to decrease it when it's like getting really big. So we can have another media query, and we can say screen min width, and then we're going to do 1100 pixels. Okay, so now the project card width will be, let's do 60%. Let's make this bigger. Okay, you won't be able to tell that way. Let's do it like this. Yeah, I think that should be fine. You know, we just want to present this in a clean way, and I think this is pretty clean. And this should also be decreased. So at 1100 pixels or more, we're going to say about content. Let's add the padding percentage to, let's say, 30%. Yeah, that should be fine. We don't want it, we probably don't want the width that small actually. So we can do 25. That's a lot better. It stays consistent with the rest of the styling that we do for mobile as well. Okay guys, so let's see if there's anything else that I'm missing. I don't think so. I do see one thing. It's not a, okay. So what I noticed is if this gets too small, then, you know, we don't want to, since this is in the left container, it shouldn't be like this actually. So one thing we can do is kind of make some of this text smaller. Since it's on the mobile, it doesn't need to be huge. I mean, it needs to be readable obviously, but the titles don't need to be this big. So the project title, we can go in here and just decrease it to, let's do 1.25. And you know, it just depends on the length of your title, and you know what it, you know, that's what it matters. So, and there might be a little bit too much space here, so I would probably increase the height here, but I don't want to lose the image quality, so I'm going to leave it like this. So I think this looks pretty good, guys. So now that the project is finished, guys, we need to push this to GitHub. So we can add all our code and files, and we can say git commit web portfolio, or you can say whatever you'd like. Okay, and then we're going to do git push. Okay, so it should be pushed. Let's just make sure. Okay, cool. Also, after you're finished pushing, you need to run the script npm run deploy. Only then will you be able to see your website. So that's published now. We're going to refresh. Okay, so it should be updated, but you might have to refresh your website, Control F5. If it may take a minute or so. Let's see. Okay, so after a minute or so it refreshed, and this is live on github.io/myportfolio. So now you guys could actually, you don't have to have this URL. So, whenever you're presenting this to people, it is best to actually get your own domain and connect it to this URL. So, you can do that pretty easily if you go to, I think, names. There's several website domains that you can go to, like, I think it's like name something, namespace. Sorry, it's not name, it's Namecheap. If you go to namecheap.com, they're pretty cheap, and if you're a student, you can get a 1 year free. So that's great. So I would definitely do that. There's documentation on how to do that, and there's a lot of videos on YouTube on how to do that as well. So if you guys want to, I can link it in the description below, like some video or something like that to help you guys out. Let me know. But yeah, you can add this, website to your LinkedIn or anywhere. You can give it out to people, and it's live. They can access it anywhere. And obviously, you want to change the URL to something of your own domain. So this is free, and this is a great tool that GitHub provides. I don't have anything else to show you. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I can leave this code in the code pen or something like that if you want to reference it. Of course, you have this tutorial at any time. So if you guys have any questions for me, please leave them in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It helps me a lot and inspires me to keep doing this. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.